Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I am here with Bite-Sized Budgets episode number 3, and today we're going to talk about planning for kind of a big trip, but more specifically than a trip, I'm actually going to be planning for an immersion class. So let me take you back. One of the things that I've wanted to do since I kind of have gotten settled over here in France is to actually do a 2 or 3 week long Italian immersion course, obviously in Italy. Now, this is obviously kind of a big undertaking. You know, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be a fairly decent chunk of time. And so I decided that I wanted to start planning for it, even though this is one of my 2020 goals. So I figured, you know, might as well start getting things in line earlier rather than later, because obviously I'm gonna have to save up a fair amount of money in order to do this. And whenever I'm gonna do a big project, what do? I make a list. So let's take a look in my PROJO. I've got, let's see if I can figure out what page. So it's on page 38 to 39. You guys can actually see over here my ideas for 2020. The first of my top 5 goals is to do this Italian immersion program. So let's take a peek. Okay, so this was the quick little spread that I made up to sort of help me get my bearings. As I move along, I will add more information, but this was just really to help me nail down the budget for the trip itself. So I've got labeled over here, Italian immersion. My goal is to do it July or August of 2020. We'll kind of see how that goes. And after doing everything, I decided my budget was going to be 2,500 to 3,000 euros. So what I did is I actually found a school. So I did an initial Google search for, you know, immersion schools in Italy and various things. And one that came up was the school called Il Sasso. And it is in a part of Italy that I really like, but that I don't know super well. So it's in sort of the Tuscany area of Italy, which I have been to before. I've been to Bologna and I've been to Florence, but I don't actually know this town. And one of the things that I really liked about this school was they had different programs, and they also had sort of shorter cultural programs. So for example, you could do a 2 or 3 week Italian course, and then maybe for 2 or 3 of the afternoons, you do a wine in Italian class or something like that, which I really liked. I liked having that cultural aspect be part of it, and it looked like it was really geared towards adults rather than kids, because a lot of times these sorts of immersion programs are geared towards like high school students, which isn't really my demographic. So once I found the school, I had to go through and figure out what my budget would be. So there are a couple of considerations. Obviously, what is the cost of the program itself? Are there any sort of fees that are involved? And what is the cost of lodging? Some programs, they will provide different lodging options. Some of them you need to kind of look at a hotel or something like that. This program actually did give lodging options. So what I did is I looked through all of the options, and you could do, for example, the basic course for the week that was this much money. You could add in a couple of hours of private lessons if you wanted, which would change the price. You could do a homestay, so where you stay with a family. You could do a homestay where they just provide breakfast, a homestay where they provide breakfast and dinner. You could stay in an apartment. So you've got some different options. So I decided to sort of get a range to pick sort of my top choices between a narrower set of options. So to explain a little better, let's take a look at my notes. So down at the bottom here, I have general information. So I have lodging, class, and flight. So the lodging, I had 2 choices. There was either the apartment for 45 euros a day or the home stay with a breakfast for 30 euros a day. And then I had to account for €1 per day of a tourist tax. Then I'm looking between 2 and 3 weeks for this class. So the 2 week class is 489 euros and the 3 week is 638. I decided that I didn't want to do any sort of individual lessons. I just wanted to do the immersion class. That way, well, I have a bit of a background in French and Spanish, so I figured that the one-on-one class wasn't necessary as long as I was able to get out in the community and converse with people. So I decided to go with just the base class and not extra private lessons. Then I took a look online and I just did sort of a general flight search, sort of in the time frame that I was looking at for the approximate amount of time that I was looking for. And it looked like from France to Italy, it's gonna be between 250 and 500 euros. euros, especially since I'm planning this so far in advance that there's a really good chance I'm going to be buying my plane tickets like 6 months out. So usually this should be a pretty like decent ballpark for the price of the flights. And then I kind of looked at, okay, other things. So if I need to buy food, if I want to do any day trips, I figured at least 1,000 euros for the 2 to 3 weeks would probably be good enough for sort of other budgetary considerations. So once I had these sort of base numbers, I decided to calculate what it would actually look like for the different time frames. So that is where my grid comes in. So you'll see here I've got 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then if I stay in the apartment and if I do the homestay. So I have L for lodging, C for class, and F for flight. So I had a really good idea of what my entire costs were gonna be, and it gave me a pretty good range. So the cheapest would be to do the homestay for 2 weeks, which would put me at about 1,400 euros. And the most expensive would be staying in the apartment for 3 weeks, which was at 21. Now, if I then add on my 1,000 euros down here for food, day trips, and other like non-essentials or other incidentals rather, that puts me at 2,423 and 3,104, which roughly is how I got my budget of 25 to 3,000 euros. So this is my base information. This was essentially enough research to allow me to set some kind of budgetary goal in YNAB so that I have something that I can start working towards, because obviously if I start now, I only need to put, I think it's a little over 100 euros into this budget every single month in order to reach my goal by July of 2020. And obviously by the time I want to buy the plane tickets in say December or January, I'll already have at least half of my goal, and the flight itself is not super expensive. So, I'll have enough to basically deal with booking everything by the time I'm actually ready to do it. Whereas if I had put this off and I didn't deal with it until January, I would be scrambling to try and come up with this much money to do this trip by the summer. So that's how I kind of figure out my budget. This works for any of the trips that I'm doing. This one was kind of specific just because it was an immersion class, whereas normally I wouldn't have to deal with the class. I would just have to do flight, lodging, and incidental. So this is going to be a slightly more expensive trip than some of the others that I'm planning on doing. So I thought this would be a good one to show you guys sort of how I work out how much money I want to budget for it. If you guys have any comments or questions, let me know down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Hey guys, so if you've made it all the way to the end of this video and are actually watching my end screen and you're not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would. There's a little button right there for you to do it. And if you're interested in watching some more of my videos, I have links to 2 of my older videos off to the left there, so you can check those out if you would like to, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!